This episode of the BJJ Foxcast is brought to you by BioPro. BioPro is an all-natural alternative to prescription human growth hormone, which aids in recovery, anti-aging, metabolism, libido, immunity, skin health, cognition, sleep, and stress. Just one vial per day provides a substantial boost to all of these growth factors. Okay, so that's what they want me to say. Here's what I know as an aging grappler. I've been using BioPro Plus and the nighttime variant, BioPro Plus Cortisleep, for several months, and it feels like I've grown a third lung. My gas tank is noticeably bigger, my recovery is faster, and I'm back on the mats much quicker, not just between training sessions, but between rounds. Now you can get $30 off your first order of BioPro when you use the code FOXCAST at www.bioproteintech.com. That's code FOXCAST for $30 off your first order at www.bioproteintech.com. Thank you, BioPro. Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the BJJ Foxcast. I am your host, Alex Martinez, and today I have my brother, Alberto Mota, from the Dominican Republic, New York City, Mesa, Arizona, all over the country. Welcome to the show, brother.
Hey, how's everybody doing? Yeah.
So, you're a purple belt under Paul Nava. We've been teammates for years. We met about 5 years ago, and we were just talking about, our families, and, they're scattered all over. Tell me about yours, man. Tell me about, where you came from and where you grew up.
All right. So I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. I was born in Manhattan, but born and raised in Brooklyn in a neighborhood, Bed-Stuy, where about 10 or 15 minutes from Jay-Z, where he lived. My mom immigrated to the country with her sister and her father in 1989. She finished high school here, did some college, and then she married in the 90s, and then she would do trips back and forth to Dominican Republic because my dad was still there. But she lived in Brooklyn. I was raised in Brooklyn, went to high school or started high school in Brooklyn, but then went to Queens, so a different borough, just to, experiment and start traveling per se. A lot of my friends were staying in the boroughs or staying in their either bus or small train route. Since a young age, I would always get, my family would take vacations to Dominican Republic. So we had that ritual, that instinct that let's go, let's pack our bags. We got to take stuff for our family out there, for us to eat, and just to be on the island.
Yeah. So what did your family do in New York? What was their occupation?
So my dad, once he got to the United States, he started perfecting his craft as a handyman and as a welder. So he started as an apprentice. Eventually he got his own clients, and then he just started his own business. And then my mom, she just worked with the elderly. So she just fell into that, did some nursing too. And some of my uncles were into sales. And but most of my mom's family were on this side of the United States, whereas my dad's side is in the Dominican Republic.
Got it. So growing up in New York, it sounds like you were more of a inner city kind of kid. And for me, I grew up in South Texas, where you can just wander off into the woods. You know what I mean? What was that like for you growing up, as a kid in a city like that?
Growing up in New York City, and then also moving out here, right? So New York City is always something to do.
Yeah.
There's always I did have a helicopter mom. Un helicóptero siempre. ¿A dónde tú estás, muchacho? Where are you? And I was her first child, so it was a lot of pressure. It was really but my mom was religious as well, so she did instill going to church on Sundays, being involved. So I had multiple lives. I had a life at church with my friends there. That's also how I got into music and being a musician. Then I have friends at school, and then I had other friends with sports team outside of school.
Oh, wow. Okay. So, pretty diverse, right? In your upbringing. What was it about the Dominican Republic that, besides family, obviously you have the connection with family, but it's got to be something spiritual, almost leaving the city and going out into the Dominican Republic where you have like, the ocean and you have all, I mean, you do have it in New York, kind of, but I don't think it's the same. I mean, tropical paradise compared to a city, right?
It was difficult to explain to my friends who weren't Dominican, who couldn't go to the island, what the experience for me was, because it was just like constant adventures and meeting new faces and going into the countryside and meeting a second cousin who's a cowboy, who has cows, who's not a typical cowboy, who just wears a regular fitted cap, walks barefoot, has like a southern twang, to other family members who have different businesses where they have routes of buses. Like they have just like, but different sides, and you feel their energy and you're like, wow, this person makes me feel good. Like even from a young age, I have uncles that I still remember that it was like, that person made my mom laugh hysterically.
Oh, wow.
Like, so it's like for me, not only what they did for myself or how they were around my parents, but like just my observation of them or what they did for me or what they told me. Like one time I went to Dominican Republic and my cousin, my mom's brother's son, he told me, everybody was telling me, oh, muchacho, tú estás fuerte, tú estás fuerte.
Yeah.
I wasn't lifting weights at that time.
Yeah.
It was just a nice way of saying I'm fat. So my cousin was like, yo, you not fuerte, tú estás gordo. So I was like, word? All right. So then I came back to New York, and then my family moved from New York to Arizona, and then the whole shift, and it's like, all right, going to DR is going to be less now, but we got to lock in. I got to get into some sports. I want to like either continue with basketball or try football. So I made it onto the football team, varsity, started lifting, getting into shape, cutting down, just like putting it together, the diet. We also had a Navy SEAL workout.
Oh, nice.
That it was just like 12 hours, like 6 hours in a classroom, plays, teamwork. And then they just shoot you in it, like
suffer.
Yeah, everybody down, like crawling, everybody wet, you're not dirty enough. And then just team building. We did the Murph, saw the sun come up. Nice. Then the parents just gave us a bunch of food. So like all these different experiences or moments like contributed to where I am now, my growth, my weight, my like how I feel about myself. But yeah, I was fuerte. I was gordo.
Was there anybody specific that when you started on that path, like getting into shape and lifting weights and playing football, was there like a coach or anybody in there that really inspired you, that really pushed you, or was it mostly family?
Well, some family, but around that time, I started getting into podcasting or listening to podcasting. So yeah, there was some Joe Rogan, there was some Jocko. But yeah, just seeing their work ethic and also listening to other people, I just started just taking little seeds and just thinking like, all right, like weights are cool, weights for the aesthetically, the visual, but like what else?
Yeah. Performance, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of how I measure my stuff. I don't really look at like how I look. It just kind of it kind of comes with the territory. Like if you really train hard and you just train for like a performance-based type of thing, like I want to get better at X, the body just kind of follows, and there's different body types for different things, right? So like when I was doing triathlon, I was really slim, but I had big shoulders because I was swimming a lot. So I looked weird. I just looked weird. It just like didn't look right. But legs got stronger, when I got off the bike, legs aren't as strong, so it's just different, right? Like a football body is very different than a swimmer's body. So, anyway, but yeah, no, that's cool. That's cool. So you graduate high school. What happens after that?
After that, I go into some community college, Mesa Community College. And then I start having like a knack to just want to travel. So I started saving money. I think it was 2016. The Olympics, the ones that were in Brazil. I started making plans. I saved my money, booked the flight, booked the Airbnb, invited some friends, let them know with a good time, not like 3 weeks before. Like I let them 6-7 months.
Yeah.
I was learning Duolingo on the app, like before it got like super full of ads or whatever. Now, like
it's a real pain.
But yeah, I was using the app, staying with it, and like mind you, this is before jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
This is not. This is just me wanting to travel and see, and like, because at this point I've been around a lot of adults and New York and uncles, and like everybody out here is just like, oh, I wish I would have traveled more. I wish I would have like. Yeah. So it's like I don't want to be that woulda, shoulda, coulda.
Good for you, man.
It's like, how do I figure this out? Yeah. How do get a job, save money, take the time, the vacation, and the trip happened. I flew out there from here to Miami, but in Miami, the flight attendant was like, if you want to get off the flight, this is the last time you can get off. Like, we're going straight there.
Oh, gotcha.
And that's like the first time I've ever heard that on a flight. Like, and I was just like, is this a sign? Like, do I gotta? But I was like, nah, like everything is working how it's like. So no, we're doing this. Yeah. I pull up to the area or the hostel where I was staying at, and the owner had some falling out with Expedia or whatever. So like my booking was like, and my money was in limbo. Oh, no. So we were there like. He knew how long the flight was, and he just let me stay there, crash for a little bit, help me figure it out, and eventually I got to stay there. Okay. So I was like by Maracanã, so like that big stadium where Pelé used to play. Yeah. There was a big favela behind, but I didn't go into the favela. It was just like, there's an event. There's I saw Michael Phelps swimming. Oh wow. It's like I went to like equestrian jumping. Any event that I could get into is just go on the train, walk to the train station or the bus, and go. And
because they had several different locations, right, for the Olympic events. Yeah.
But they were all in like the Ipanimas and like these other higher class, like more towards the water, towards the beach. Yeah. On my bucket list, in like things I wanted to do. Like besides the museum, was try Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
No kidding.
It was.
Where did that come from? Was it like a Joe Rogan thing where you listened on a podcast?
I don't think I was listening too much, but I just like I heard of it as a martial art somewhere, so I was just like, well, if we're in Brazil, like let me see what it's about.
No way.
I put it down. Yeah. I didn't make it to a class. Okay. The Olympics. Yeah. Meeting people, conversing with the locals, and playing basketball with them.
How good did your Portuguese get with Duolingo?
It was. I felt very safe out there and comfortable speaking Portuguese. People would think like você nombre Alberto, like your name is Alberto, you can speak Portuguese. I'm like, no, now falo muito. Like I don't speak a lot, just a little bit. And since Argentina is so close to Brazil, some people can understand Spanish. So whenever I like ran out of Brazilian words, it's just like, okay, mira, el día fue que yo me cansé, y like, so it was nice to have that beautiful transition. Yeah. And just love, like people see when you're trying, they'll help you. Yeah. They won't like,
they strike me as really tolerant. You know what I mean? Like they kind of help you, muscle your way through a sentence that you're struggling with.
Yes, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So you didn't make it. So you're watching the Olympics. Did you go there specifically for that? That was the goal?
Yes.
So you wanted to go, was that a bucket list? I want to go to an Olympic Games?
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
So it was a bucket list item, and it was also like a trip outside of just Dominican Republic. Yeah. That was my first major international trip, yeah.
And so did you go alone and meet friends there? Or did you
travel? I went alone and I met friends there. Wow. Yeah.
Wow. How old are you?
That was in 2016. So how long ago was 2016?
That's 7 years ago?
Okay. So I was 20, 21.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Wow. That's a good adventure, man. Yeah. So and I've known you, like I said, we've known each other for about 5 years now. But the whole time I've known you, like you've been on this traveling thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then one day you decide, and I don't know if I'm getting too far ahead, but one day you decide like, yeah, I'm going to go to Africa. And then I'm going to go, I think you went Africa, Dominican Republic, then New York, or maybe the other way around.
Yeah, just like that.
Just like that.
Yeah.
So what prompted the trip to Africa?
COVID.
Yeah.
Just working through it, training differently, training with a smaller group of people, but just like,
what do you mean training differently?
Like it wasn't like the big academy. Like
Okay.
we were underground, like, in someone's gym in Tempe,
Oh, yeah.
you know what I mean? Like not a lot of
The
people.
curtains on the windows.
Yeah. It was really like, so yeah, working through that. And then, so I had planned before, I wanted to go to Tanzania and Kenya. I had saved money, but just with work and just like, I didn't know. I was just like waiting just kind of for the right time moment. And then I had a friend that she had someone who went to Africa. And he was out there on a tour with this company. So she told me, she was like, hey, check them out. Like, see what you could find out. See if it's something that aligns with you. So yeah, I talked to the lady, the main lady who was hosting it, and she told me the main things that they do, and it sounded like a good time. I was just like, I've never been a part of a tour group or like for 2-3 months. Let's do it. Like,
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Wow. So you were there 3 months?
3 months.
So tell me about that experience. Like, where were you staying? Like, my big curiosity with people that travel is like, when you go to like, I don't know if you've ever been to the North Atlantic region, like Ireland and stuff like that, but it just feels different. It smells different.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying good or bad. It's just a different. What is Africa like when you get off the plane and you first step foot outside of the airport? What does Africa feel like? What does it smell like?
First things first, it's a 10-hour flight. So you better know, like, you better get some movement in on the plane. Like, they do, or Ethiopian Airlines, they do provide like good 3 meals. They're high.
Okay.
But 10-hour flight, you fly in. Oh, I flew into a country called Togo. There's lions in the north. I flew into the south.
Okay.
But it's a city. And then from there we flew to another city, Abidjan in Cote d'Ivoire. So Africa was colonized by European powers. Yep. So some countries speak French, some speak English. Yeah. Some have the same currency, some have different currency.
Oh wow. Like they use like euros and stuff, or no?
No, they have they have dollar bills, but they call them francs.
Francs. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
And then I think in Ghana they call them CDs, like CEDI.
Yeah.
So yeah, you get there. The little airport where we got into, I had a little bit of visa immigration. Like they didn't sign my visa to get into the country, so they took my passport. And then I had to get essentially rescued by the lady. My first introduction to Africa was like in a little police station in the airport, right? And I don't know I just see a bunch of passports and some guy on a table with just, and I don't,
oh, no.
I didn't study no French. Like
right.
I'm just like waiting, and then this lady, she comes and she starts speaking English to me. I'm like, okay, I think I'm with her. And then I'm like, look, and then she figures it out. She's like, look, they're gonna send you the passport. It was just your visa didn't get cleared yet. Everybody on the other people on the trip, they came from Chicago and Florida, I believe.
Okay.
And then there was a tour guy who also helped us with the trip, Tomas, that he came from Togo. So it was 4 of us.
Yeah.
Just a balance, 2 females, 2 males.
Yep.
And they were good with their visa issues, just me that. So yeah, as soon as we step out in Abidjan in Cote d'Ivoire, like it's not too much bustle, but the smell is different. I feel familiar. For me, because I've been to Dominican Republic, I've been, they look to me like Haitians.
Okay.
Just their color complexion. And so I'm like, all right, cool. Like, so we drive into Abidjan, which is like the major city in Cote d'Ivoire. And it's like it's crowded. It's like a city. It's like, whoa, like, so we were there for like a week or two, just getting acquainted with some places there. But we were going to go over to Bassam, which is like a little beach town.
Okay.
Where we were going to have workshops with some artists and drum classes.
What's a jump class?
Drum.
Oh, drum class. Got it. Yep.
Entonces, I personally loved when we left Abidjan because it's like, hey, I've been in cities before. Yeah. Like, I want to see the culture. I want to see some people. I want to go to the fruit market.
Yeah.
So yeah, we made that happen. Like, we went to Bassam. We were there for like 3 weeks, and we were just like immersed, like just going to the market. I was having surf lessons.
Oh, cool.
Someone told us like, hey, there's a beach. Like, it's beautiful. There's a guy who does surf lessons. So I was like, why not? Like, I've surfed before in California, so I'm like, I gotta say, I surfed in Africa.
100%. Yeah.
Like, let's do it.
How many people can say that?
Like, what? Yeah. So, surf lessons were just phenomenal, epic. But leading up to the lessons, the vehicle that we were using, so we were staying at like an Airbnb. Everybody had their own room, bathroom. There was a pool in the back, and no, there was a pool in the front, and in the back was just a regular lawn. And then we had our drum classes there. The drummers would come there to us, or sometimes we would go over to the beach.
Oh, cool.
Like a sunset session.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did feel a lot while I was there because I'm heading to the beach to go to my surf lessons and just learn. And like, I had to adjust some things. Like, we were going in a BMW and an X5, and there was a police, like, he stopped us twice for no reason, just on the way to the town. And I was just like, yo, are we just getting like, and we will always have to give him money. And that money is coming out of my pocket. You know what I mean? So I'm like, yo, let's switch up the cars. Let's go into like a Nissan. Does anybody have a Nissan Altima? Like something,
something little low key. Yeah.
Hey, we pulled up in the Nissan Altima. He just waved us through. So I'm like, guys, why weren't we doing this before? Like, so, it was just enough for drinks, enough for fruit, and just good.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
So yeah, being there, lessons, going back, meeting the artists, where we were doing collages with like recycled material.
Oh wow.
The lady, she recorded a bunch of it. When the movie or whenever she finishes it, I'm gonna share it with you.
Yeah.
Because it was just like, I would have wanted more intentional time with like the artist and the drummers. There towards like the end, there was a lot of emphasis on like going out and going to like lounges and going out to like for New Year's, and like I went out more there than I ever did here in the United States. You know what I mean? Like, it was like, hey, I'm not here for that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not here to fall in love. Like, if it happens, it happens. But I'm just like, I didn't train out there. I didn't do no jiu-jitsu out there. Like, there was some capoeira schools, so I did do some capoeira.
That looks fun.
It's fun.
Yeah.
It's just like jiu-jitsu.
It's
like the learning. It's the beginning stages where you're finding that rhythm in your body.
Yeah.
But it is fun.
That's cool. Yeah.
But yeah, being out there, it was just yoga, dance classes, watching some jiu-jitsu, but like, man, like, I can't watch too much of something that I want to do. Like, I can't watch too much basketball because then I want to play basketball. I can't watch too much jiu-jitsu because I want to like.
Same. Yeah. There's a lot of I get a lot of folks on the show that are like really, really like jiu-jitsu nerds, and I mean that complimentary. Like, they know a lot of like jiu-jitsu, and they know like this guy fought that guy who beat this guy and did that. I don't know I don't watch it. Like I can't. It's like I don't know how to describe it. I'll watch like if you're on it, like I'll watch. You know, if a friend of mine's on a show, totally 100% I'm in. But I'm on my phone until you go on. You know what I mean? I'm just not into watching it. But the same, like, because I want to do it. But okay, so
yes, more misconceptions. I didn't see any lions. I didn't see any giraffes. That's a different part of Africa. I was on the west coast of Africa.
Oh, okay.
So I did see the slave dungeons.
Tell me about that, dude. What was that like? Awful, huh?
It was. They have different ports or different castles, but we went to La Mina, I believe it's called, in Ghana. Yeah, it was. We got the tour. They showed us the door of no return. Yeah, it was just the energy there. You can feel it. Like, I did think that the tour guide was a little bit too, I don't want to say dramatic.
Yeah.
I don't know if, like, I don't know. I feel like for certain places, you really don't got to say much. Like, like 9/11 is just like, damn, like a lot of people died here.
Yeah.
Like firefighters, New Yorkers, like, so yeah, I just felt like just less is more.
Yeah.
Less is more. Just tell us the basics, tell us things that we don't know, but like certain key points, just let us be quiet. Let us be still.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was part of the trip, seeing those dungeons and
chills, man, just thinking about that. Yeah. And how many dungeons do you think there were?
Like along the Gold Coast, I know there were hundreds.
Wow.
I want to do more research, but just the one that I went to had multiple rooms, areas, no window.
Wow.
No window. Oh man. No window. It's just tunnel corridors, and people, human beings, were there before transported forcibly to the new world.
Yeah.
But they did bring crops with them.
Yeah.
Like that was part of the transatlantic slave trade.
Yeah.
The Columbus trade. Yeah, they brought rice braided in their hair.
Wow.
The Europeans didn't know too much of like what are you guys growing, like, but they brought all this stuff that Africans were eating, plantains, bananas, yams, sorghum, and rice, which had come from India over to Africa, and they had just made their variety.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was just like, yeah.
It's yeah, and like you said, you just want to soak it in, and the more someone talks about it, you're just like, just give me a minute, right? Because that's deep, dude. It's one thing to read about it; it's one other thing to be standing there and looking at it. That's wild, man. That's wild. And you know, isn't it curious that the Europeans, they pretty much, I hate to say conquered the world, but they conquered a lot of things in a lot of places in search of like spices and different foods, and their food sucks. How's it possible?
Like what you guys do?
How's that possible?
How you guys failed the mission? You failed the mission. You ain't tap them out. You didn't submit them.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So you leave Africa and you go back to Dominican Republic. Was that just, were you thinking about? I'm curious because like you didn't come back, so I was curious. Like, were you thinking about maybe staying in Dominican Republic and then and not going to New York because you went to New York to live, right?
Yeah. So, once I left Africa, I was really like energized. Like, let's go. Like first, I miss Jiu-Jitsu. Yeah. But I'm also, me going to Dominican Republic is as a tour too. So two people from Arizona that I've met while here, they're just like, hey, we want to see Dominican Republic, like. So I was just like, all right, like I'm getting back from Africa. Like they was just like, hey, we're gonna give you some money. Like just tour us. Like,
perfect.
You know what I mean? While in Africa, my family was like, yo, why don't you come back? Why you in Africa?
Yeah.
Like they were pessimistic. They were like, they knew everything was cool. I would call them. I would show them things. I would show them the fruit. I would show them the beach. I would like show them the people. I'm just like, yo, like I'm okay. Like we good. Like I'm taking it. I'm getting a lot of sun. It was like 7-hour difference, 8-hour difference.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah.
But I was telling my family, I'm like, hey, I'm doing this for the family. You guys may not understand this now, but yeah, I'm the first to step on the continent.
Yeah.
Like from my lineage family.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So was that the
Oh,
family
wait,
in Dominican Republic?
So yeah. So I was like, all right, I was in Africa 3 months. Like I got family in DR. I got places I can stay. Like, why not? I still have some money left over from Africa. Like let me go. Let me do it. Like, let me figure it out.
Yeah.
So yeah, got out there, figured out a little land situation that had some fruits growing on it, and a pool. So I was just like, all right. So we talked to the guy, negotiators in the south of the Dominican Republic. And so yeah, while I was there, I closed down that. So like we own that, like my family and I.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's
it's
awesome.
like over 2 acres, but it has banana trees and just like land, like space to put a house.
You have running water? Like
yes.
Is it like a creek running water?
It has flooding irrigation.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's like a little creek down below.
Love it.
Yeah.
That's cool, dude.
So yeah,
you pulled that off. How long did it take you to pull that off?
Well, I had to talk with my aunt's husband. So he knew the person. So he was our like kind of like middleman and just like, yeah, just exploring the nearby vicinity, going to a market that I liked, and really being like in that family, in that community, because it's different. Like I'm usually in the city in the Dominican Republic, in Santo Domingo, or in the east, but this was like in the south.
Got it.
Towards Haiti.
Yeah.
So just seeing like they have mountain ranges, like it's kind of like Arizona over there.
No kidding.
Yeah, like driving down, like yeah, you'll still see the coconut trees, but the cacti. There's cacti, there's sand. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So like that drew me in. That was just like, yo, like Arizona did good for me. Like Arizona, I got into jiu-jitsu, I got into yoga, I did some traveling out here. Like I got my life together. Like, and I was just like, this feels good.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So is that where you're going to like eventually retire on that plot of land?
I don't want to say eventually because I feel like I'm still young.
Yeah, you're
like,
very young. Yeah.
So it's just like, it's a start.
Yeah.
But I'm not limiting myself.
That's cool.
So yeah, like I have the bees that. So I met a beekeeper out there from the family.
Yes, this is a perfect segue.
And,
I love it.
He's just like, I don't know if like for me, maybe from after Africa forward, I just feel like just different parts of my life are like movies and people are like characters. And he just feels like a very strong character. Just like in me meeting him and me seeing him with his lady and his multiple kids and seeing him like, he's a beekeeper, but he also has this little plot of land where he's growing bananas. And he's just like, I remember when I closed the deal with him to like buy the bee boxes, 6 of them. As soon as I paid him out, he went to his house, got something, and like grabs his machete, got on a truck to go work. It wasn't even 10 minutes. Like he didn't like relax. He didn't be like, honey, like
morning routine.
Like, no, it was just like, yo, put this money away. We got more work to do.
Yeah.
So I just felt very like cool and aligned with him. Like, and seeing like, and he wants to grow himself, like, and he wants to keep expanding. And he's thought about getting loans from banks to then buy more land and then plant certain trees and then having certain bees there and then like So yeah, everything is starting. Everything
That's
is
good.
starting, and I've had some sales in some markets in New York.
I love it.
But now I'm working with Dominican artists to make a logo for myself for the company.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna make an LLC, and then I'm gonna work with the customs company to then be able to export it to New York City, maybe have it in a store somewhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
But remembering that honey is bee food.
Yeah.
So yeah, every time I go to Dominican Republic, I always make it an effort to plant some trees, plant some flowers, and not take too much honey. Like leave some honey for them.
Yeah.
Because when it's raining, bees can't fly. Bees can't go out. They don't like it. They don't feather their wings. They're like, so yeah, still
That's
learning.
interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. So yeah, so I think being in a store is cool, but I think the outreach that and it just my opinion would be like subscription based, like so much honey per month, something like that. You send to somebody, and that way you're just shipping it. You know, shipping out to different people. I think that'd be cool. But getting in a store, that'd be huge, man.
Yeah.
That'd be so cool. So tell me about like how do you start if you have zero, right? How do you start like a bee? How would you call it? A hive? Like how would you start it?
How would you if you have what is zero?
Zero. Like you have nothing, and you're like, you know what? I'm gonna be a beekeeper. What would your first move be?
Who's a beekeeper around me?
Okay.
Who has expertise? Like it's just like you got to learn from somebody who's done it. Yeah, the YouTube exists. Yeah, you can do the construction, the boxes. But for your safety, and the bee safety and just humanity, just find somebody.
Yeah.
And then just take small steps, whether it's I don't know if I've seen anyone out here in Arizona with bees in their backyard or anything like that.
I'm sure there are, but yeah, who knows?
But yeah, having some land, having some flowers planted, bees love all that, and they love sun.
Yeah,
they love sun, so Arizona's perfect for it.
Yeah.
That would be my recommendation. Find somebody, have some land, plant some flowers.
Right on. And what was it like, you know, when you started, I'm assuming you're taking care of them, right? You're beekeeping. And what was it like getting your first jar of the honey that came out of the hive that you helped produce? What was that like?
So he doesn't have the full suit. He has a little weird mechanism. He has like, you know, the country version, but
yeah, I
got a full one, and he has to smoke them out. We have to smoke them out first, just because they may be working, they may be out, but some are gonna be there, and like when they feel your presence, they may get alerted. So yeah, we smoke them out, calm them down a little bit. But yeah, taking it out, shaking it, because some bees are still on the honeycomb. Putting it into the sun and just observing it. I have a picture I'm gonna show you.
Okay.
It's hypnotic. It's like, I don't want to say like trippy, but it is trippy.
Yeah.
Some of the honeycomb was fully formed. It felt like, wow, like we provided a natural habitat, no disturbances. They have water nearby. They have plants, flowers, maybe some music when some people come in here and we play some music. But they're doing their thing. So I'm like, how more? Like, what else? Like, not trying to be on like a capitalistic, like,
Totally
but
get it. Yeah.
Just 10 more.
Yeah.
How would the workload look? How would it feel like on the land, like safety wise? How would they feel about me? Like, you know, because they do with time get to know you. And you get to identify like which one is the queen bee. Like,
no kidding.
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, you're also providing an environment for bees to thrive, right? And people don't understand how important bees are to the ecosystem, right? So I think that's cool that you're also providing that. And you know, you're not, like you said, you're not stealing all of the honey. You're leaving some for the bees. And that's cool, man. That's cool. Like, well, but what was it about that particular thing? I mean, obviously there's a connection to your food, right? Because even like growing tomatoes in the backyard, you feel this connection to your food when you eat them. They just taste better. But besides that, what is it about that industry that really like got your attention? Like, this is what I want to do.
It got my attention because I've just enjoyed growing. Like, even here in Arizona with my mom's backyard, like I had a little compost. I had some peppers growing.
Nice.
I had like a little good section going. But being in the Dominican Republic and then eating the fruit there, that was different.
Yeah.
And not seeing it here, it made me feel different. It made me feel like, So I was like, what would I feel if I ate more fruits found in the Dominican Republic and ate more of the Dominican diet?
Yeah.
Like, how would I look? How would I feel? And I'm like currently living that because like my sleep is good, like my energy levels, and yeah, just being connected to the earth, being connected to the source, or like a farmer who went and plucked those soursop.
Yeah, nice.
And just being just closer to it. So I planted some small coconut trees. They should be like this height, and then or maybe a little bit taller, but they'll have coconuts that you can drink. They'll produce.
Nice,
they'll produce.
Man. Nice.
But yeah, there's so much nutrients and benefits and coconut and the fruits out there. And I just want to spread the wellness in a way. So like my uncle and I also make coconut oil. Like it's a different type of coconut. You got to wait till the cocoa se madura.
Matures. For those of you that don't speak.
So it's no longer water, and then it turns brown, and then like those brown coconuts that you see maybe in some stores, those are good for making oil because the fat concentration in them. So you got to like grind it down, then cook it down, and then coconut oil is so good for you. So my next, I got your address now. I'm going to send you, once I go back, I got you with the cigars.
Yes.
I haven't forgotten.
Dominican cigars are awesome, dude. They're
cigars, honey, and coconut oil.
Oh, man, I can't wait.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, I got you.
So how did you find jiu-jitsu? How did that work out?
The podcasting.
Yeah, okay.
So like listening to Jocko, listening to Joe Rogan, I was just like, I've seen my sister do karate, but it wasn't so long, and after lifting weights and playing football, I was just like, yo, what else? And like, what can I do for me? Like,
did you wrestle at all?
I didn't.
Okay.
Just football, just basketball, baseball. But jiu-jitsu was just like completely different. So like I got on Google and I just put jiu-jitsu near me.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know nobody. I didn't know nobody. Like,
that's exactly what I did.
I felt kind of weird the first couple of days just telling everybody, you know, like I went, my first week was during spring break, like March, and I think there was a competition or something going down in California, so the gym was empty. You know what I mean?
Pans.
Yeah. The instructor at that time, the 10 a.m.s was Jonathan Van Buren.
Yeah, JVB, my boy.
JVB. So yeah, like I was working at Costco, and then I didn't even know Paul was at Costco, but like I found that spot. So I was working in the mornings, getting off, and then just biking over to jiu-jitsu.
Wow.
Doing the strength and conditioning with Leslie just because like I want to still lift. Like I don't know what this jiu-jitsu is about, but doing that basically 2.5 hours of workout and jiu-jitsu.
Nice.
For like white belt, blue belt stage.
10
a.m. 10 a.m.
You know, that class has gone through so many like ebbs and flows, you know, like, you know, you would think, is he going to get rid of it? Because only like 2 people showing up, then it grows to 15. And then it gets back down to 4 and then back up to 15. So, but right now I think Ramsey is teaching that 10 a.m. now. Ramsey and Amber.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and shout out to Ramsey and Amber, my good friends of mine, badass black belts. So what was it about jiu-jitsu? Because for a young guy, you have like an older soul, you know what I mean? And most people that go into jiu-jitsu at your age are there to smash people, but you don't have that approach, right? Tell me about that.
So like, I listen to your show, I love it, and you know, you usually mention like that picture, like where you see yourself when you were like a white belt and you see like who's there and like, yo, they not here, or where are they now?
Yeah.
Just being part of it, just like each moment has their significance, their like, so how you said like the ebbs and flows of like the 10 a.m.s. I did feel like I caught it on a great wave and then caught it on a low wave. Yeah. But then I caught it on another great wave. You know what I mean? Then I left at the top of the wave.
Yeah.
But yeah, jiu-jitsu's so special and so like that when I come visit, people will be like, oh, Amber's told me about you, or this person, or like they'll see other people react to me like as soon as they step into the gym.
Yeah.
And just feeling that love. Like jiu-jitsu, when I started at 10 a.m.s, we had, you know, Koa.
Yeah, of course. My boy.
Oh, not Koa, Keola.
Oh my gosh, yes, Keola.
We had Todd, a firefighter. We had Mark. We had a good variety of like
sizes.
So, I got humbled quick.
Yeah,
I tapped early. I tapped often.
Yeah.
But it was fun, and then having like JVB sarcastic, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
His teaching style was so like, I vibed with it. So like when he took a little break and then we got Kaplan. Yeah. Kaplan's different. Kaplan's great.
Yeah.
But it was different. Yeah. And I wasn't like, I didn't get attached to JVB, but I kind of did. And I realized that I was just like, yo, like, espérate.
It happens.
Jiu-jitsu es jiu-jitsu. Busca la manera. Like, find your way.
Find a way.
So yeah, getting humbled easy and early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's part of it. But you know, one thing that Amy and I we talk about you a lot, all right? And it's very complimentary, I'll tell you that. But you were like, even though you were mainly 10 a.m. and you would sprinkle in some evening classes here or there, like you were part of the whole team. And here's what I mean by that. There's people are like 6 a.m. folks and they've never met a 7 p.m. person, you know what I mean? But like, even if you weren't competing, you were at the competitions with us. And so back in that time, I think it was 2020, Phoenix Open. We weren't allowed inside the barrier yet, the coaches, right? Everybody's on the outside. And you're just wandering in a big circle coaching everybody. And so the reason we bring that up, Amy and I bring that up, is Amy's in a match and her mat was on like a very corner, so we had good access to it. And you walk by and she's like, you know, she's kind of struggling and you just yelled, Amy, grind. She never forgets that because she heard you and she just like kicked it up another gear. And you've always brought that energy. Like you walk into a room, the energy just picks up. That's why when I saw you walk into open mat the other day, I was like, oh, hell yeah, that was so fun, dude.
Like I saw you through the door. Like I got out the car, the door was open. I looked through, I saw you in the back putting on your tape. And I was just like, all right, like, that's great.
Yeah.
Head honcho's here. Like, he's at his open mat. That's great.
Yeah.
But then I see John over there to the side with some of his students. So I'm like, all right, let me just say hi and then I'm going to go in.
Right.
But yeah, like, my energy has changed. Like, like before, you know, when we bow out and then we're like giving us, like, I would like clap, 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 clap.
Yeah.
I don't do that too much anymore. But I do coach. I do like sprinkling my differentness, my uniqueness, and like when especially when you start competing, like it's a blur.
Yeah.
Like it's nothing like the jiu-jitsu in the gym. Like I mean, I would love to learn and stimulate that, or in a gym environment, maybe like some fake noises and maybe like a ref dressed up. You know what I mean?
It's
like
hard.
a competition, but like
hard.
it's so yeah. If you're not accustomed to hearing a certain voice or a voice doesn't stand out, you're really out there like grinding and just by yourself, just like. And if that person is just on top of you and you can't see the clock, or you're not like, so yeah, I like yelling. I like, especially people I love rolling with and love training with. And Amy's has always been so funny.
Yeah, oh my
like,
God.
Yeah. Amy is so funny.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I definitely got to get a roll in with her.
For sure, man. For sure. How long are you in town for?
I'm here possibly till February, the beginning of February.
Okay,
Yeah.
That's got a little time.
Mm-hmm,
Got a little time. Yeah. Are you gonna get training in? Are you gonna do?
Of course.
Nice. Yeah. So, I wasn't quite sure what to do about federal holidays, but I know, like, I want to show that I'm thinking about it at least, right? And last year, you know, it was really hard for me because, like, I don't like to close. I don't like to cancel classes. I don't like to do any of that. But there comes a point where, like, you got to show the community that you're not just this, you know, cold environment. You know what I mean? That you're actually thinking about social issues, and you're thinking about people, and you're thinking about events that have happened that have changed the course of our country, right? So that was really important to me. And I think that's going to be our schedule, man, for federal holidays. We'll do like a 9 a.m. and a 5 p.m. open mat, because they were really successful, dude. It was so much fun, man. Because 9 a.m. was pretty packed. 5 p.m. was insane. Okay. That was so much fun, dude.
Okay. I know the 20th at Grey Wolf is probably going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy too. So,
always is.
Yeah, so I flew in, and like it was just a perfect timing, the federal holiday. So I'm like looking at everybody's schedule, hitting up some people, seeing where the open mats are at.
Yeah.
Prioritizing others over just because, you know, I know some people and like I want to get that training in. So I did 2 open mats at Paul's Sunday and then Monday morning.
Okay.
And I was just focusing with the white belts, just like there were a lot of white belts that showed. I was just like, hey, work the back, work side control. You submit me or I submit you. Like I tell them like, you know what I mean? Yeah. And then there's all right. So really got some good work in. And then the upper belts that were there, we just start normal. I didn't work any wrestling, any takedowns, just start from sitting down, whatever. So yeah, but I was managing my rolls, my breathing, and saying like, okay, Alex has an open mat Monday, you know what I mean? Want to see what that's about. I know his space has gotten bigger. Yeah, he has some tough people out there. So I was like, open mats could be hit or miss.
Yep.
Because some people want to rest, some people want to like, I'd rather jiu-jitsu owners do something. Don't just stop. Don't just close. Do something.
Right, yeah.
Because the consistency, the people that are like really on some goals and trying to get like, yeah, I don't enjoy when schools close. Yeah. It's just like, what now?
Yeah. Well, and that's one thing, like on the point of consistency, like I want to make sure that if it's a federal holiday, like people know that I'm going to have a 9 a.m. and a 5 p.m. open mat. So I think that's going to be my thing from now on. So there's no kind of guesswork, right? I mean, if it's whatever holiday, you know, 4th of July, that's going to be the schedule. So, so I think consistency, like you said, is key because, dude, no one wants to guess or wonder, you know, are you going to be open today? You know, we have classes today. So yeah, that's a big thing. Do you have any desire to open a jiu-jitsu academy one day?
I hear nuggets that you drop with other guests that are owners here. I think about it, but it's like the work that's gonna take to not only open the spot, the location where it's at, Could it be a multi-purpose building area? Maybe another business that operates there during the day.
Yeah.
Where's it? Where? You know what I mean? Where do I want to be? Where do I want?
Yeah.
And then it's like, once that opens, I can't travel as much.
You're tied to it. Yeah.
That's my baby. I gotta.
Yeah. And when the baby cries, you got to wake up. That's it. There's no way around it. So yeah. So I would say wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got plenty of time, dude. You got plenty of time. And then at some point you might be, your business could make you so independent, not, that you can hire people to just run your jiu-jitsu place, and you can go there and teach or not, or train whenever you want. So that's kind of cool. So the multiple streams of income that you're looking at, probably the best way to go. Yeah. Cause it's tough, dude. It's tough. Cause I mean, you're not just in the jiu-jitsu business, you're in the people business, right? And people need a lot of attention. So yeah. That's the way it just kind of goes.
Sacrifice, dedication, showing up.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So what trips do you have planned in the future? Like where are you going to go?
Like when you say trips, you talking about
traveling the world.
Okay, around the world.
Yeah.
Plan, like I'm thinking about it, because like this, like a planning, and then once I write it down, it's like it's gonna happen.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's something like, if you're not a huge, I wasn't a huge journal, or like,
I was gonna ask you that, because you should.
I've gotten different journals from this artist in the Dominican Republic.
Who's the artist?
Art Eliana. Yeah, Instagram is down here.
What is it? Arieliana?
Yeah, Art Eliana RD.
RD?
Yeah, RD. RD.
Yeah, she's on Instagram.
She does custom work.
It's beautiful, man. Looks like a hand painted.
Yeah, hand painted. It feels, it's so powerful, just like being able to let go of my emotions, whatever's going on, whatever dreams or what I'm working towards. The journaling helps me troubleshoot, that helps me dream. Sierra posted about some jiu-jitsu journal. I bought that. I'm starting to use it. It's different though, because it's not like just white pages. It's like detail, like how were your energy levels? Did you sleep? The technique taught. How did you feel after? And it's just like, whoa. Like, but all that is gonna help me. It's gonna, like, I have several of my journals already filled with just like things that I've done, things that I wanted to do, and it's just like I have power in my words. I have power, the power in the pen.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, what was the question? Where do I want to go?
Yeah, where do you want to go when you travel?
I do want to go back to Africa, but the traveling, for at least for the next year or two, just to establish the business, is going to be Dominican Republic.
Yeah.
But Costa Rica does call my attention.
Oh, yeah.
And Costa Rica, like the surfing, some jiu-jitsu out there.
Yeah. There's actually really good jiu-jitsu, like all in that area, Panama, Costa Rica, stuff like that. Yeah, good jiu-jitsu there. I was stationed in Panama for 2 years.
Okay.
And I had no idea what jiu-jitsu was, because I didn't do jiu-jitsu down there. But we were talking about the food, and I think if I were you, because I mean you're a specimen, dude. Like, and your diet's working. So if you could put that down on paper, that could be something you could sell as well. A Dominican diet, absolutely. That could be something that could be another storm, because you're basically working it on yourself. Like, there's proof that it works.
It's like not only just like the food, the fruit. It's like the infusions, the teas.
Yeah.
Like the cleanses. I don't eat that much meat. I'm not saying I'm a vegetarian.
Right.
I just don't crave it that much. Like, I can eat an avocado and some coconut, like the coconut meat, and like I'm good. I'm nourished. Like, drink some water. I'm not feeling like like I've reset my body to where like, yeah, I don't crave meat that much.
That's cool.
But yeah, I will think about like drawing up like some plans, some my lady, she's involved in Goldwater Alchemy. That's her Instagram. She's involved in just like natural remedies. She's vegan, she's vegetarian.
Okay.
Also Dominican, and yeah, she's about it. So who knows when forces collide, what we can do, what can happen.
Absolutely. Yeah, when I was in Panama, it was about 6 months. I was there 6 months before I made my first trip back to the States. And that was because the military sent me to a school, right? That was in Virginia. And, you know, when I lived there, I lived in the economy. I lived downtown Panama City. And, you know, so I shopped in the little markets and I ate, you know, in probably the same 3 places the whole time. And it was a lot of fish, a lot of plantains, a lot of coconut rice and stuff like that. And delicious. And I get to the States and got in kind of late. You know, my buddy's like, "Oh, you want some food?" I'm like, "Yeah, I just want to grab a burger," because I hadn't had one, you know, burger in a while. So I had Wendy's, and I remember specifically, it has nothing to do with Wendy's. It has to do with the diet that I was on. I was very
the
much
quality of food, the quality.
I was so sick.
Yes,
I was so sick.
Yes.
And we're talking like, but I was eating food that was probably killed that day, you know, for 6 months. And then I come here to all this garbage, and taught me a valuable lesson. I mean, there is a thing. There is that thing, you know, even though. And the funny thing is, the reason I was going to those places was so cheap, you know, to eat there. It was like a, you know, thing of fish and, you know, some, you know, and the sides were less than $5 at the time, you know? So I was like, hell yeah, I'm in. And, but the quality of food was so good. It was so good. And we're surrounded by water, you know, and it's gorgeous, man. I loved it out there. I did 2 years there. I'd like to go back and see what it's like now. I mean, that was a long time ago when I was there.
It's gonna shock you.
Yeah.
It's gonna you're gonna be like, whoa, like I remember this was open. Now there's skyscrapers.
Yeah.
You know, like
Well, there were still, so I'm gonna age myself here, but I was there in 95. So the invasion of Panama was in 88 or 89. So still pretty fresh in people's minds there. So fresh that there were still buildings with bullet holes in them. You know what I mean? Like you could, I mean, in not the nice part of town, right? They're always in the bad part of town. But yeah, there's people living in those buildings that have holes in them. You know, it was wild, man. And we went to this area. Can't remember the name of the area, but it was where Noriega had his headquarters, and that place was all shot up. Still, this is years later. You know what I mean? So that was pretty fresh in the locals' minds. But when I left in '97, a lot of that was being turned over back to the Panamanians. We were closing bases. I think there's only like 2 bases there now. But now, from what I understand, because it was like prime real estate, like right on the water, you know what I mean? The Bridge of the Americas, we could see it from our barracks, you know? And it's now like all resort stuff, you know? Because I remember there was a, cross the Bridge of the Americas, head into Balboa, I think the area was, and then you go down this causeway, and then there was an island basically at the end, right? Like a little patch of land, and that's where the president's home was.
Okay.
And that's all I think that's all resort now. So I can't, dude, wild, man. Anyway, but I'm sure it's very different.
While in the military, did they encourage like, hey, buy some land here or get involved with like, it was just work, nothing like that? Or?
No. You know, and it was a big eye opener for me because I had never known, I'd never witnessed firsthand like the effect that, you know, Americans have around the world. And I mean, the building of the Panama Canal.
I get called a gringo in Dominican Republic. I get called a gringo, and I'm like, I'm more Dominican than y'all. I play the instruments. I could dance. Like,
oh my God, yeah. Well, so a lot of my friends that were like locals were American. Because their parents work in the they call them zonies, the Panama Canal Zone, and they've lived there for generations, right? And like when I first got there, I had a roommate before I moved down into the city. I had a roommate, and his dad was Army, and his mom was from Panama. So he went home. Like he got stationed there, but he was never around. He was always staying with his mom and with his family. So that was like, I don't know why I think about that a lot. Like the impact that we have, it's like it is Americanized, but they held on real tight to their own culture. They never let America like take it over, so to speak. I mean, the currency was U.S. currency.
Okay.
But like you said, in Africa, they call it francs, right? And that's obviously a French word. But they would call like our money Balboa because that was their original currency. It was Balboa.
Okay.
So, I mean, you would say, tres Balboa, they mean $3, right? And if you don't understand the lingo, like the slang of it, you would never be like, what do you mean Balboa? There's a dollar, But yeah, it was pretty amazing how well they held on to who they are, as people. So it's really cool. I can't wait to go back. Yeah. And but speaking of the gringo, I have a friend who's from England, and she's from Liverpool area. Grew up there. She lives here. They call her the Yank. So to me, I listen to her accent, and it's like thick. To them, it's like, oh, you're not from here, right? Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
But do you get? I mean, people, if you were to walk in a place like where people don't know you and start speaking, can they catch that you're American?
In Dominican Republic?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. La maleta siempre se ve. La maleta, like, the luggage, even though you're not with your luggage, you always see it.
You always see the luggage.
So, yeah, like, the way I dress, I'm not super flashy. I mean, I have a chain like most Dominicans. And yeah, my hair. A lot of Dominicans like to have short hair. They don't usually have dreadlocks. And yeah, but then once they hear me talk, I don't have as much Dominican slang because I'm not always there. And like, the last person I was supposed to bring out there to the Dominican Republic, she was going to buy a book, like Dominican words and sayings. And I was like, look, is this book current to like 2023? Because if it's not, you lost.
Yeah,
like you good. Like I'm a figure it out. Like, but that book is not gonna do you no good. Yeah. No good. Like, they just make up different words.
Yeah.
Like que lo que.
Yeah.
Like, that's just
like what's up?
Yeah. But if like somebody who don't know is like what?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Like
yeah. Like in Panama, they would have like English words that were like, I mean, it was common language. Like it was slang, but it was common language. Like aquí tengo este man. Like I've got this guy here, right? But in Spanish it'd be like hombre, right? Aquí tengo este hombre. Aquí tengo este man. Te está esperando, stuff like that. And so I would catch those words. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. They just kind of threw that into, but it has everybody, well, to a certain point, right? There's other people that are very proper,
right?
But
Exactly.
it's the people that speak slang,
yeah,
and there were just, different words like piscina. Piscina is like, pool, but it's like a proper way to say it. They would use it in everyday language, and I'm like, oh, you only hear like snobby people say that where I come from. You know what I mean? That type of thing. But so there was a little dichotomy there in the words, so that was interesting. Yeah, but so what about Asia? I mean, you're doubling the flight.
I know. Australia doesn't call my attention just because of that flight.
20-something hours, right? 22 hours?
Yeah. Like,
how the hell does something fly that far?
I know they got to do a layover either in Guam, either in Hawaii.
Yeah.
And then you got to adjust to the time change too.
A day. It's a whole day.
What?
You cross the date line.
I don't know. Like, my main main reason to go out there would be to like, where did the banana come from? Like the origin.
Yeah.
Not on some, let me go, like, no.
Go to Sydney or something. No.
We're going like, how did the Polynesians move it across the islands? Yeah. How did like the Europeans then come and take it over to Africa? How did the Africans, like, I want to go like, follow the fruit. Like, because where the fruit are, the people are there. The sweetness, the love, the people. Yeah. Fiji is nice, but the flight time, and then China, Japan. I hear Japan is nice, clean, the trains, but I think I don't know if this is fully true. This may be a hot take. I don't feel like Asians really love black people like that.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. I feel like when I've been into Asian, like, yeah, the Asian stores, food stores, like they'll serve you though, like, but like anytime going into like a 99-cent store, like I'm always getting those wandering eyes, that employee that's following me.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
But I'm not saying all. I'm not,
right.
But
I think you'd be surprised, man, because when I went to Europe, people just wanted to know like what Americans were like, you know, and they. I use Ireland as the example because I've been all over the place, but Ireland was like, you know, they're like, oh, come to our house, we'll cook for you. And in the United States, that means you're going to get killed and buried in a basement, right? So,
but yeah, you really got to get intimate with someone here before you invite them over to your house.
Yes.
It's more of like, let's go out somewhere.
Right. Well, yes.
Maybe a coffee, maybe a beer, maybe a pizza, and then like.
No, they made a meal and we just hung out and talked.
It was good.
Oh, it was fantastic, man. And they're such good people, man. Like, you know, they're just curious because we pulled into a place called Cove, Ireland. And I don't know how true this is, but we were told that we were the first American warship to pull into that port since World War II. So there were generations of people that hadn't met too many Americans, right? So you pull in, and Cove is a small town, and we would take a bus to the big city, Cork.
What part of Ireland? North,
I
south,
think it's
west?
south.
Okay.
South is southeast-ish area. South, yeah, it's got to be in the south area. But yeah, Cove was the biggest thing in town was a church. Giant church. It's beautiful. And it's pretty cool. You get to meet locals and hang out because so at the time we carried an admiral on board, which means we were the flagship. Like we were the Second Fleet flagship. And we only went to like really cool places. That's where the admiral wanted to go. And when we pulled into Cove, we were supposed to be there 3 days. We were there 2 weeks. The admiral happened to be Irish. Yeah, so we just stayed there. I think we were like quote unquote broke down. You know what I mean? We had to stay in port, and so we spent a lot of time. That's probably of any port, that's probably the most I've ever been. You know, most time I've ever been in a port, and so I got to know a lot of the people, and we got to travel a little bit and check things out. And we went to Blarney Castle. And at Blarney Castle, I don't know if you ever heard of it, but you get to the top of the castle and they have this ritual where you, for luck, you kiss the Blarney Stone. And the way you do it, they have this guy sitting there and there's like a hole at the top of the castle, right? It's like a square. You sit on one side of the square, guy holds you, and then he leans you back and you kind of lean all the way looking over your head, and then you kiss the stone. And they take a picture of you kissing the stone. It's like you're inverted.
Time out.
Yeah.
So you trusting a guy you don't know to like lean you back so you can kiss a stone for a picture.
Well, here's the thing. I didn't get to the point where we kissed the stone because, okay, full disclosure, we were pretty hammered. They, not my fault. They did 2 stops on the way there. They did a crystal stop and then a wool place stop. And in both places, they were serving booze, like they were giving us booze. So we were just okay. So we get to the castle and we're just kind of moving around. It was really cool. And then you get to the line to go up and kiss a stone. It was super long, man. I was like, you know what? I'm not saying that line. So we just kind of hung out. Anyway, we get back to Cove and we go to this place was called the European. I'll never forget it. Little bar. And that's where we met most of the locals because we would start and end our night at the European. And these guys, we got to know them, and they're like, "Oh, what'd you do today?" I'm like, "Oh, I went to Blarney Castle." And the guy's like, "Did you kiss the stone?" And we're like, "No, we didn't get him." He goes, "Good, because we go up there and piss on it." So anybody that's ever kissed a stone, I hope they've sprayed it off a little bit.
Wow,
so bad. Yeah, man. But yeah, the thing is, what I really admire about what you're doing is, especially since you're journaling your whole trip, is you're taking advantage of the time that you have. And one of my biggest regrets was I left my ship in Portsmouth, England. And back in those days, they would give you cash. Bad call. Anyway, but they would give you cash because it costs money to fly across the country. You got to buy your meals, all the per diem and all the stuff. So they give it to you up front. And then you do an expense report at the end and you do all that. Well, I had 30 days to get from Portsmouth, England to San Diego, California. And I didn't spend a week backpacking in Europe. You know what I mean? I had money. I could have stayed in some cheap places, maybe slept under the stars a couple times, but I didn't do it.
You had a week.
I had 30 days.
Okay, you had a month.
I had a month. All I had to do was go change my flight. If I would have changed my flight and been like, oh, I could spend 2 weeks in Europe just wandering around. I had a passport. I had everything.
What were you, I don't want to say, what were you thinking?
I was an idiot. I was an idiot. I was like.
You wanted to get back into the workforce?
I guess,
school,
man. Yeah. I mean, I was
family pressures?
No, nothing like that, man. I went to the airport. By the way, I went to the wrong airport. But anyway, I went to the airport and then I flew to Atlanta and then my buddy and I drove across the country to San Diego. Yeah. Yeah. That was a little bit of an adventure, but dude, I could have spent a couple weeks in Europe. Easy. No problem. No problem. But I didn't. Had money that someone else gave me. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't even spending my money.
Yeah.
So if I have a regret in my youth,
yeah,
that's a big one. I screwed that one up. So don't screw it up. Travel.
No regrets. Yeah.
Yeah, man. So tell me about the process real quick, about the process of saving up to go to a place. Like, do you target a place and then you just Google shit and be like, this is about what it's going to cost? Or do you buy things as you go? How does that work?
So you want to for sure have some type of income. You want to have your bills paid. Start savings. Like, it may be as small as $50, $75, but that adds up. The sacrifices, like, become a squirrel. Like, just like really, like, you got to switch your mentality. You can't go out to eat.
Yeah.
Like,
got to say no a lot.
You say no a lot.
Yeah.
And that's even before having a trip. That's just to have the funds to just like, and then when you have some type of funds, depending on your comfort levels, depending on your gender, because some females they would rather not travel alone or would want to go with a friend.
Yep.
So yeah, like if you want to do domestic inside the United States, that's also, doable. Rent a car, or fly in somewhere, and then, but you always have to plan, like, what do I want to do while I'm at X location? What do I want to see? What do I want to feel? Big cities, you're going to get the traffic. You're going to get people who just, like, they're tourists, but there's also people living there. And, like, there's a certain way of walking. Like, New York, like, there are tourists, especially Christmas time, off to the side, or not even off to the side, in the middle, just trying to take a picture of a site. It's like, oh, we're trying to get through. Like, so trying to do research on the etiquette beforehand. Even
that's
though
a great idea.
Etiquette beforehand, and also, like, what time of year am I going? What can I expect? Sometimes vendors are trying to sell a little bit too exorbitant, too expensive. Learning how to negotiate as well once you're there, but not disrespecting them, not like just 5 pesos less or 10 pesos less.
Yeah. And they kind of enjoy that shit.
Yes,
too.
They do.
It's like a little
they
game,
do.
Right?
They do.
Yeah. So they say, 15. How about 12?
They do.
Yeah.
It's good to walk away.
Yeah.
It's good to walk
the
away.
Old walk away
You know
trick.
what I mean? They may, hey, yo, okay, te lo dejo neto.
Yeah.
Life. So domestic, probably won't do too much of that bargaining, but do what you want. Like, go to national parks.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I can't tell anybody to go to Dubai. Like,
I know. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For what? For why?
Yeah.
Like, to be in a hotel, to be in a long flight, like,
be on the biggest building in the world. I don't know.
I mean, just feel, just like, what do you want to feel? What do you want to see? Like,
well, you say these words, and you probably don't even notice it anymore. But what's calling you, right? And I think that's something that most people don't hear the calling because they don't spend enough time in silence. You know what I mean? They don't meditate. They don't do the things where you're gonna get the opportunity to listen, right? To listen to what you really want. I think once you do, man, you'll figure out who you are, right, as a person and what you really like. Because traveling at a 5-star resort, awesome, right? How much do you get out of it that you couldn't get here?
¿Me entiende?
Right? Yeah. I one of the coolest things I did when I was stationed in South America is we went out and built a school for this little village. I mean, it was hours of driving. It was crazy, middle of nowhere. Little village. I don't even know how this started. It was like through some kind of foundation. The military got behind it, and we had these big giant trucks. Right, we'd head out there, and these people had a little bit more than nothing. You know what I mean? They had their places where they lived. The schoolhouse was also the kitchen. You know what I mean? And that's where they had a community pot where they all came and ate. And if you look at them, at first glance, you're like, oh, these poor folks. Dude, they were some of the happiest people you've ever met. They were so happy. It was funny because like we had a group of Seabees, you know, they're military builders, and they're like just most of the time they told us to get the hell out of the way, but sometimes they would let us help, right? Yeah, just moving lumber and stuff like that. But they're building this thing, and like the whole village is kind of standing around and watching us do it, right? And they're just kind of watching, you know, because most of them had never met Americans before, so they're kind of watching, right? And then the day goes on, and they didn't really leave. Their clothing changed. So as the day went on, you know, in the evening they had their little gowns on. They're almost getting ready for bed, you know, and they're just watching us work. You know, it's pretty cool.
No conversation?
Not a little bit. So some of the older folks. This is mostly the kids watching us, you know.
Okay.
And then at the end of the day, we're exhausted. I mean, we work all day, and we're going to stay the night and then finish up in the morning and then head back. And one of the Seabees goes, "Hey, grab that bag of chem lights." A chem light is like a tube. And you snap it, it kind of cracks, and then you shake it, and it has a chemical reaction, and it glows it in the dark, right? It's like a little light. So we start cracking them and giving them to the kids. Dude, all you saw was chem lights throughout the woods, little kids running and playing, dude. They were some of the happiest people I've ever met. And they didn't have electricity. You know, it's not about that.
Exactly.
You know, they built this community that like yes, they were grateful, but they couldn't wait till we left. You know what I mean?
But you have that moment because you were able to travel. And yeah, it was with the military, but like, yeah, you probably could have stayed in the ship or like, but you took the risk, the adventure. And you changed someone's lives. You made someone laugh. You made someone feel good. So like you were talking about earlier how like I have a way of like when I get into the room, like the energy. And like, that's what I want to do in jiu-jitsu. I want like, yeah, we're going to dance. We're going to go at it. We're going to like, but I want you to feel good. I want you to like really like, yo, this is fun. Like, I love when people tell me, oh, it's fun, or when someone's on the side, like watching me. I love it. I love it. I can feel the eyes. I can feel them.
Do you know Vinny? He trains with John Cabay. Yes, black belt.
Yes. We've had some battles.
Vinny is so full of energy, and even when he whips your ass, he makes you feel good about it. But those, I mean, he and you are very, very alike in that, like, you bring this crazy energy to the room. It's really cool, man. Yeah. Well, listen, brother, I got to get to work at some point. And I really appreciate you taking the time and telling me about the adventures, and we'll have to do it again wherever the wind blows. Yeah, brother. So let everybody know where they can find you or anything you want to plug before we sign off.
So my Instagram is Adam's World of Adventure. My website is motormanifest.com. Any news or anything I'll post on my Instagram. Once the honey is coming into the United States, I'll record, I'll show, I'll try to educate, make some movies as well, to put it out there into the masses and make it accessible. Not a daunting or like, just make it, hey, you could do it.
I love it.
You know what I mean?
Love it. Yeah, man. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I love you, brother.
I appreciate you. I love you too, Alex.
All right. Yes, that was awesome. This episode of the BJJ Foxcast is brought to you by BioPro. BioPro is an all-natural alternative to prescription human growth hormone, which aids in recovery, anti-aging, metabolism, libido, immunity, skin health, cognition, sleep, and stress. Just one vial per day provides a substantial boost to all of these growth factors. Okay, so that's what they want me to say. Here's what I know as an aging grappler. I've been using BioPro Plus and the nighttime variant, BioPro Plus Cortisleep, for several months, and it feels like I've grown a third lung. My gas tank is noticeably bigger, my recovery is faster, and I'm back on the mats much quicker, not just between training sessions, but between rounds. Now you can get $30 off your first order of BioPro when you use the code FOXCAST at www.bioproteintech.com. That's code FOXCAST for $30 off your first order, at www.bioproteintech.com. Thank you, BioPro.